What's up, Mr. fucking Desert Dime?
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special video. We are finally in the desert testing out the entire rebuild, because my entire rebuild is actually done this time. I know there's been a few videos where I've said, oh, it's done now, but I keep adding shit to it. So now it's finally done. There might be a few more things coming, who knows. But we're out in the desert testing everything today, and I still owe you guys an Archive Garage shock relocation kit review video. So today in the desert we have my truck, and we have Gion's long travel Tundra, and we have some special co-pilots today because we need filmers and they want to enjoy the desert too.
And truck broken.
And truck's broken. I didn't want to be the one to say it. But yes, today we are going to be testing and reviewing the Archive shock relocation kit for the 2nd gen Tacoma, but in the desert now. There is a video already of me testing it on a trail, but like I've said in that video, this truck is mostly in the desert anyway, so I wanted to test it out here. Also, this past week you may have seen the video where I added this 4-inch spindle lift up front, so we're going to be testing just the build overall in general, and we're going to be reviewing it and kind of going over how it all feels now that it's quote-unquote done. So alongside this review video, I'm going to be trying to film or get footage for a second video because I'm going to be really busy this week and unable to film the second video for the week. Second video is going to be more of a vlog style, just kind of day in the life of what we're doing out here today. It'll be a fun time. Make sure you guys check out that video when it comes out. So with that being said, I'm going to go rig up the truck with some GoPros. I'm going to air down and we're going to get ready and we're going to head out on our adventure today. Alright, so since this is like a review of the new suspension setup and everything, if you haven't seen the videos of like the whole update of what all the new suspension is, I'm going to show you really fast. So in the rear we have an Archive Garage shock relocation kit with a 12 by 2.5 shock with a remote reservoir, adjustable, the Deaver J66 pack. I think that's all for the rear. And then up in the front we have Camber Kinetic Series boxed upper control arm. We have a 2.5 extended travel OEM replacement coilover with remote reservoir. The new addition, which is the Max Track 4-inch lift spindle. That's for suspension. Wheels and tires, 33-inch BF Goodrich KO2s, which are chewed to shit and I need to get new ones. Method double standard 16-inch race wheels. Yeah, that's definitely it. And there's some brake stuff done, but we're not here to test out the brakes really. So just wanted to let you guys know what we're actually testing today and what we're going to be reviewing.
Those are just big whoops.
Yeah, no, these whoops are like I said, this is like a dirt bike track. This isn't meant for a truck. Maybe long travel, but definitely not what I'm doing. And I needed to run it real fast just to feel how I had to adjust the rear shocks. They were a little too soft, bottomed out a time or two, so stiffened them up a bit. Now we're gonna head on to our second spot. I should probably turn on the GoPro before we hit this run. right, so now we've got the back end dialed in a little bit. That run felt a lot better, like especially in the rear. Like, did you feel some spots where it's like, oh fuck, that's gonna hurt? Like the whole back end felt like it was gonna just slam down and bottom out. It soaked it. It was still a little stiff, but that's kind of like what you need so you don't bottom out. But it felt really nice on this run. Like I think we hit it a little faster than on the way in.
Oh, 100%.
Honestly, so far, just a little update on like how the truck's handling. The adjustment definitely helped out with the rear end. I'm not completely smacking frame now. But just the way this desert's kind of set up is the whoops are just a little too big for my setup. Like it handles it a lot better now. Before I used to just have to roll everything. And if I didn't, I'd definitely like shove all the way up and bottom out. But now it's like the shocks are doing a lot more work and I'm not bottoming out. I'm not smacking frame. I'm not smashing my tires into my fenders. So it's nice now. Well, we found this little whoop section. Gian went through it. It looked like he was handling it even in the rear with the OEM replacement. So now I'm gonna try it out and hope I can handle it as well as his truck did. Oh God.
His back bucked up so much.
I would like to interrupt this video for today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Back to the video.
In a sleeper truck, and now I'm scarred for life.
Scarred in a good way or bad way?
In a good way because we didn't die.
Yeah, that was definitely so scary.
That was the scariest thing.
It was like scary for two reasons. One, because going into it, you see the depth, and I know what my old build could do, and I was like if I was in my old build and did that, I definitely would have been like that video of me going like doosh doosh and just feeling the metal.
Front end would have planted in one of the whoops and died.
I probably would have broke something. I would have like smacked my rear end and bucked. Maybe I don't know. It would have been bad.
Yes.
So that was the one scary thing, like going in with the mindset of what it was gonna do. And the second part was once it actually started going through and handling, then you'd feel like a little kick, and you're like, "Is this it? Is this the end?" But then it like just kept eating. And it was fine. I'm excited to see the footage because in Gion's it looks like my rear tires were coming off on everyone, but it felt like they were planted the whole time. So I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't really more like it wasn't so much like a buck. It was like a float
Like you
up.
felt the shocks working. Like
Yeah,
the travel was going to work.
It floated up, not really like.
Yeah, it wasn't the bump smacking the rear end up. All right, well, we're heading to our next spot. All right, so after those gnarly little whoops that we just hit, I forgot I should have checked to feel the reservoirs and feel the shocks, see if they were like burning up or not. But the rear end does feel softer now, so I don't know if I just put them to work and now like the fluid's a little more watery. So I don't know if I need to stiffen it back up again, if it's too hot or what's going on, but that's the update on the rear end rebuild so far. It's handling very well still, but like I said, it just feels a little more soft, a little more bouncy. Maybe it's just because I'm not going fast through stuff, but like the terrain out here is all different from literally like you could go a mile in one direction, the terrain's going to be different than what you're in. So you just got to keep adjusting and keep figuring out the new terrain you're going into. So we're noticing now that we're like taking the fire road for a long distance and there's those subtle just like floating drop-offs, that just the 3-click adjustment that made whoops a lot more tolerable is now making the rear end way too stiff just for that subtle like drop-off where you want the compression and to be softer. So I think like springing for the adjusters is definitely the move to do, especially in the rear too, where like, you know, we have the composite beds, we don't have a lot of weight back there, so to be able to like mess with it throughout the day depending on where you're at, it's a lot better. For some reason I feel like now that the spindles are in, the front handles better than the rear again.
That's how I feel.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it because it makes me sad because I finally got the rear to...
I know, I've told you multiple times. I was like, the front just like...
I think they're like at an even playing field now. Like before, the front was way better than the rear. And then I got the rear done, the rear was way better than the front. But now I feel like while the front's slightly better than the rear, I think they're like pretty even. That's the journey I set out to do when I did this whole rebuild a few months ago. It was like, the goal in mind was to make the best mid-travel stock body truck you can. And I think I'm pretty damn close, not gonna lie.
No, you're there. You just keep, there's more, but you're there.
Yeah, I just need like fine-tuning like a thing here or there, then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is the stage to do if you don't want to go long travel.
And I've also never been in a... I've never had someone else drive me, and we went over some gnarly stuff, and I was scared, but the truck handled pretty well, I would say.
I'm impressed with it. This is like the first trip out. As long as nothing breaks and I can get home, this is it. This is the setup. This is what you need. Since we're at the end of the day here, we're just gonna kind of recap, kind of give the review of how the whole truck performed, how the Archive shock relocation kit performed, and I guess we'll touch on the front a little bit since that got rebuilt as well. Not rebuilt, but added a spindle. So for the rear, everything I'm going to say now is stuff I've like sprinkled in throughout the day. It handled very well. It's a lot better than the OEM replacement, the extended travel one, because that gave practically no up travel at all. Like the bump stop would come and hit my frame and just send my rear end straight to the sky. So now I feel like I have a lot more stroke and a lot more room in the shock shaft to droop out and to compress. And the shock actually goes to work and it helps the truck versus just the OEM replacements. Like I said, the adjusters, definitely a must. Not a must, but it's like highly, highly, highly recommended. Like you can get away with not doing it, but if you want to fine tune, like I said, you know, we were going through the desert today and like you go a mile in any direction and like the terrain changes completely. So it's nice to have.
Yeah, you got like these whoops right here, you got little whoops, you got sand, you got rocks, like.
Yeah, so it's nice to be able to fine tune, even if it's by like 1 or 2 clicks. I stiffened by 3 at the beginning of the day and was riding on that all day and it was fine.
I was just shook. I was just like, I got out, dude, my hands were just like shaking. I was just, no.
Are you guys talking about the section we...
The whoops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
How did it look? I never saw the videos from your phone.
It wasn't that bad. It just...
It
okay, it wouldn't kick as much as my truck would, but you hit it pretty damn hard.
But now moving on to the front, I feel like the Max Track spindle stole the show today. I didn't bottom out once. I didn't smack my skid plate. Oh yeah, I took the sway bar off too.
Sway bar I feel like was a huge change. Like you could feel like the truck just like, it was like a boat. Like it would just like stay level, but you could like feel the shocks just work.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the day. The sway bar did come out for the first time ever and it's staying out. But yeah, the pairing of the Max Track lift with the sway bar out is like, I didn't touch the skid plate once and I used to just, like you've seen my skid plate, it is dented, rusted, everything. I didn't touch my fenders once today, so I'm getting the clearance I need with the spindles, which is amazing. That's what I wanted out of this, to not rub anymore or bottom out or anything. And the sway bar delete is really helping with the articulation and just like the movement of all the suspension together now. Like everything today just felt so buttery up front.
Yeah.
Like nothing, I don't think I felt anything bad with the front all day.
Oh no.
It was just the rear in some parts.
Yeah, the front of the truck like basically just like stayed level, and you just feel like the shocks just like working like up and down, and like even on the big stuff it just felt like it just floated.
The only thing that I wish I had different in the front is adjusters on these shocks, like I said, for just the fine tuning. But for the tuning that they're at right now, it's working pretty great out here, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So all in all, like I said earlier, I set out on a journey to build the best mid-travel truck that you can build before having to go to long travel, like pushing it all the way to the limit of a mid-travel right before you have to cut through the bed and do a LT kit and everything. And I think I'm pretty damn close. I think I'm like 80% of the way there. There's a few more things here and there that I could do, especially in the rear end, like the shackles and hangers, maybe a different leaf pack, and maybe
3.0.
I don't think I could fit 3.0s. You could fit small 2.5 bypasses back there.
You need chase lights.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about performance.
I've seen that, like on a mid-travel kit.
I can fit tiny bypasses back there. So yeah, maybe just a few more adjustments in the rear, and this thing will literally be the best mid-travel build that you can do. So if you want to see any of the videos of this whole, I've documented like this entire rebuild process. You can see like every part of it on the channel. I'd highly recommend going and watching it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out, either on Instagram DM or in the comments. But thoroughly pleased. Today was 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
It was fun as hell.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a place that I want to come back and like do a weekend at.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today. Again, if you guys want to see anything about this, or if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to slide in the DMs or the comments. And that's a wrap on this review for today. Catch you guys in the next one.